Hello everyone, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. So last time we had some, let's say, mixed success. We killed 4 people and we lost almost all of our money, ended up in a real big hole. But we did manage to claw things back at the end of it. We have a new astronaut pilot in the form of Gerald here. And we actually managed to do a tourist mission that didn't result in the tourist dying or suing us, so that's all good. As for our main mission today, I want to start off by exploring the moon. We just need to do a flyby to get this one, we don't have to land, and I think our current coconut launcher is perfectly capable of that. So long as we get an actually decent launch this time, we should be able to nice and easily rendezvous with the moon, do a quick flyby, use the flyby to adjust our orbit to put us in for a nice aero break over Kerbin. And none of the other missions are really lining up to be something that's going to be easy to tack on to this mission, so I'm just going to leave them for now. We'll just focus completely on doing this recovery. Alright, so first things first with the coconut. We're going to be taking science with us. The other major change I'm making to my design is to do with the orientation of our sort of final stages. Whereas before I was trying to bring back the science modules. They're worth about $5,000 between them if we can bring them back. Problem is that's adding a lot of weight, and the more mass you have when you're re-entering, the longer it takes you to slow down. And I think that may have got us killed a couple of times. And so because we're doing this in this kind of Ironman mode, I'm going to completely change compared to what I normally do. And we will not be bringing back the science modules. Be taking them out into orbit, but then we'll just be retrieving all of the science with our little sciencey pack here, and then we'll just be returning the crew module, the science module, and heat shield and parachutes is all it's going to be re-entering. Actually going to be a little bit sneaky here. We currently do not have the tech for those big radial decouplers. This is a different one. Actually, these are really light. I'm going to pick that up then. Okay, so I was going to put on bigger radial decouplers, but it turns out that we don't actually have access to those. I was hoping the mission was to use the big ones because then we get that tech temporarily for free. As it is, I had misread the mission. It's actually one of these little decouplers, and we get that if we splash down in Kerbin. So if we just try and aim for the sea, which is most of Kerbin, then we should be able to get that one. We just basically land, jettison the heat shield after we've landed, and then we're all set. So as it stands, the only decoupler we can use is our existing normal decoupler. Okay, but to try and avoid the reconnection issues we're having previously, I have lowered the main attached decoupler and added in another one, hoping that together they're going to be enough to knock these booster stages away. Since we are going so far, I am going to give this some batteries. Going to stick them in the science bay just so they're out of the way. And just give us a little more battery power. We can use the main stage to recharge that, so hopefully that will be enough. I'm going to whack a communicatron on the side of this thing, just so we have some communication. Okay, so staging wise, ignite all engines and release the pylons, then fire off the booster stage, ignite the main stage, then finally on re-entry we decouple, drogue shoots, main parachute, and then just the last test one when we splash down. So this is going to be probably the final version of the coconut. This is the Coconut Mark III. And let's see what we can do with this. So we're going to be taking Gerald, and otherwise I think we're all set. Let's see if we can fly by the moon. Okay, SAS on, thrust to full. We're going to be looking to turn over to 90 degrees so that we use the horizontal velocity we have from the spinning kerbal. Otherwise, fingers crossed. Okay, there was a very large explosion there, but everything's holding together. I think that was the top decouplers smacking into the boosters, which is fine. Again, a pretty high initial insertion, but it'll have to do. It's going to start turning. We're getting into the thinner atmosphere, so we should be safe to really start turning and really trying to push our horizontal velocity. Yeah, we're out of the atmosphere now, so let's just push pure 90 degrees. Oh, no. Once again, I pushed the wrong button. Okay, we should still be good, hopefully. The half of the stage going there. Problem is, the button that I used to have bound as SAS, I now have bound as the staging, and I think I'm going to need to change back because I keep pushing the wrong one. It's trying to quickly turn SAS off and on again so it holds on the new point, and ended up, staging halfway through. Yeah, not sure how much delta V we lost there, hopefully not too much. We have circularized. Okay, according to the delta V map I have, it takes 860 delta V to go from low Kerbal orbit to the moon. So we should have enough to do that. A tiny bit spare to adjust our orbit to bring us back to a high altitude litho break on the way back. Is the plan. Right now we're not in the ideal situation to burn. We're a little bit late for the intercept. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment here to upgrade our mission control, mostly because that is what adds flight planning, and I think that's what we need now to be able to get the maneuver nodes working. And I'd prefer to be able to do this with maneuver nodes rather than just eyeballing it. Yeah, there we go, that is working now. Okay, so we've got a pretty good maneuver planned in here. It's going to cost us 840, still leaves us with a little bit to play with to adjust it as we go. But what we have ended up with is a burn that's going to take us to an encounter with the moon. Going to go around the moon, and that will slow our orbit just a little bit, so that we should be coming in about 550 kilometers, and that'll hopefully slow us down enough to re-enter. We'll adjust this as we go, but seems a pretty good plan for now. So for now, SAS off to conserve power, and we're just going to fast forward to the maneuver node. Okay, we've got a 50-second burn time, so just going to wait for the time to the node to be 25 seconds to get as close as possible to doing half of it before, half of it after the node. Should be more or less perfectly aligned with the node, so here's hoping. Okay, and burn. Originally would have liked to put us closer so we could also get some science from low Mun Orbit, but I don't want to mess around with how little delta V we've got, and a close orbit would either send us crashing into Kerbal or send us, gravity assist us well out into space, neither of which is ideal. Okay, so we've ended up coming in with our current orbit being not too ideal. This would be a bit low as a re-entry from the moon, but we can adjust that once we actually get to the moon, adjust our orbit at the moon periapus, just to adjust that to make it a nice, decent number. Otherwise, nothing else to do but to drift to the moon with 250 meters per second delta V spare. Okay, so here we are, just being captured by the moon. Got one of our parameters complete, so this counts as our flyby, so all we need to do is recover from here, but first we've got a load of science to do. We've got our crew report, materials study, mystery goo, temperature, and pressure data. Now, I did double up on all of my instruments, hoping that I could get low over the moon, but as I said, we don't really want to run the risk of screwing up our orbit since we've got next to no margin of error, so we'll just leave that there. Can't do an EVA yet. We're going to collect all of our science into the pod, so as long as that survives, we're all good. Fantastic. So we've got a little tiny adjustment maneuver just to change our orbit to try and aim for a Kerbin periapsis of 35 kilometers. There you go. 35 kilometers is what we are now estimated at. We then programmed in a burn just to bleed off the last of our energy. We've got 255, so plotted in a maneuver to pretty much use all of that. So just before we re-enter, we're going to be burning mostly retrograde there, but with a little bit of, I don't actually know what it's called, I guess radial? Anti-radial? I don't know, the one directly away from the centre of your orbit. That's in order to slow our orbital velocity while at the same time maintaining our periapis. Because if you just bleed retrograde, then you end up with a really steep re-entry and you burn up and die. Whereas this way, at least, we should be able to re-enter nice and easily, but we've got less speed to burn off when we do. So alright, time to wave goodbye to the moon and head off to that maneuver. Yeah, resource-wise we're all good. We're probably not going to splash down, probably going to land here, but that's absolutely fine. I'm more concerned with surviving all of this than getting that little mission. Yay. Cool, there we go, that's that stage completely burnt. Significantly lowered the orbit, but periapis is still about 35 kilometers. It's just going to turn us, and then I'm going to stage. I have in between the first part and this part of this video gone back into the menu and redone my controls, so hopefully I won't be messing up as I've been doing. Okay, so we're beginning our re-entry. The half that we broke off is going down ahead of us, which is absolutely fine. We should bleed off speed quite quickly because we're relatively low mass, so very low inertia to lose. Ooh. The other stage just broke up. A bit risky, one of those chunks nearly hit us. Belator is being used up. Peri is now negative, we are on a collision course. May or may not hit the water, we'll just have to see. Only a tiny bit of the ablator used, probably really didn't. Actually, a fair chunk of the ablator looking at it, I was looking at the wrong one. So definitely did need the ablator for this re-entry. Speed's dropping below 1 kilometer a second. Deploy the drogue chutes there. And I'd like to really arrest our descent so that we fall down into the bay here just for the mission. So there goes the main chute as well. Very nice, gentle touchdown back to Kerbin. So we are now splashdown in Kerbin, so we can do the final stage. Get that test done. And then let's recover the vessel. There we go. All round fantastic success. 132 science from our things, more science from missions, so 193. Get quite a lot of upgrades for that. Barely recovered any funds, but that's fine. Gerald gained 2 extra experience. Here's where the important parts are. So we've broken our speed record, first flyby of the moon, escaped Kerbin's gravitational influence for the first time, entered gravitation of the moon, returned home from a flyby of the moon, and gathered some scientific data from the moon. Got the Explore the Moon contract, part 1 and 2, and so we get the overall completion bonus. And we got this nice little extra chunk there, just from testing that decoupler, leaving us now at 400,000 credits, so we're now in a much, much better situation. Okay, so on the science panel, I'm going to unlock aviation. So I think we're going to have to start working our way towards a lander module. And it's going to be a lot easier if we've got some bigger, thicker rockets to use. For the first part of that, I'm going to pick up heavy rocketry. Probably aren't going to use the new liquid fuel engines there at all, but having access to some stronger solid fuel boosters might not be too much of a pain. I want to get fuel modules to go with those. We need the landing systems. We do have some space EVA things we can also look at getting. I'm also going to go ahead and spend some of our cash upgrading our astronaut complex here so that we can now do EVAs. Just want to get us an engineer here. We've got Subas here, super high courage. Minimum stupidity, that's fine. So there we go, we've got all 3 types of Kerbal now. Here, and we can probably go for this one. So we need to now enter orbit of the moon, which we probably could have done last time if we hadn't ejected half of a stage. None of the other missions are particularly compatible. So we're going to go back and try and orbit the moon this time. Adjustments that I've made is that I have swapped out the solid boosters for the larger kickback solid boosters. And that's given me the chance to increase the fuel in the space stage a little bit. Otherwise everything else is the same, and we're just going to try and do a better orbital injection this time. Okay, same idea as before, so let's see how we go. I did thrust limit the rockets a little bit because they were a lot more powerful. I wanted to avoid overspeeding too much. So I'm going to overspeed anyway and massively go too high. Right, then stage, and cut the engine. So definitely not an ideal orbital injection there, we are very, very high, but we should be able to flatten this out. Start off burning now, just so that I can correct the angle of our orbit. I can do an EVA from here though. First orbital EVA. I forgot we get different ones depending on what biome we're over. Just need to circularize. First stage done. See how vertical we were, that's where we launched from. We're really high but almost immediately above it. Positive periapus, and our peri's in orbit. Still got nearly 3,000 delta V, so that's looking really good. Now I get another EVA report high over Kerbin, and we can get the temperature and pressure data high over Kerbin and the mystery goo. Yeah, got a maneuver plan to put us in a nice low moon orbit. Okay, and start burn. There we go. Let's just advance time and warp to our next location. Okay, now we're high over the moon. I'm going to do another EVA here. Okay, I've got maneuver set up for a nice low orbit pass. Right now we should be in low orbit. Through report, then we can pick up EVA report, this is over the Midlands. Mystery go to near the moon. Temperature near the moon. And pressure data near the moon. Oh, got another one above the moon's highlands. Midland craters. Just getting different ones for each of the biomes as we fly over. We could have put this in a polar orbit to get more, but I'm happy just getting a fair few of these as we fly over. Nice. Far side crater. Side crater. And we've got the east crater. So it's nice, it's a fair bit of science collected. I think those are the only craters we are orbiting. Could possibly adjust the orbit to get the double crater, but that'll do for now. Now it's going to be time to burn out of the moon's orbit and then try and re-enter Kerbin. And then burning prograde where I am now is going to be retrograde in terms of the Kerbin orbit. So you can just bring that nicely down. Yeah, then plotted a nice little final circularization. Doesn't use all of our fuel, but will give us nice easy re-entry. Which a large part of this burn is actually in the atmosphere, which isn't ideal. Now I have to stage a bit earlier than I intended. Alright, can use the fuel to stabilize us. Pointing retrograde. And stage it. I staged that with the rocket still going. Okay, well, that is far from ideal. Note self-turn rocket off before staging. Which means it's going to be a bit of a steeper re-entry than I had in mind. Okay, that's that stage now burning away. We're going to be landing really close to the airfield, actually. Really close to Kerbin Spaceport. Complete accident, but there it is. Okay, looking good. Beginning to burn off the excess heat as it's going. Under 1 kilometre a second. Yeah, we're going to do fine. See just how much quicker this stage slows down compared to the combined stage, which is now 10 kilometres ahead of us. Oh, shite. I forgot to collect all of the data. Oh, that's quite painful. Okay, I'll have all of the crew reports. I just don't have the low altitude moon orbital data that I had before. Well, still got a load of science even after burning all of that lot. Made a fair profit on that mission. So, first spacewalk over Kerbin, orbit the moon, spacewalk over the moon, and we've returned home from orbit of the moon. 100,000, 170,000 for the mission, and a load of science. Kicking myself over losing the science that we did, but what can you do? Well, other than, be competent, I suppose. So I definitely want to pick up fuel systems. Goes really well with the bigger engines. Now we've also got bigger core that we can put on. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the landing for the landing legs. Then I'm going to pick up miniaturization for the EVA experiment kit. Give us more science to play with. Okay, so we're going to combine a few missions here. The next kind of story mission is to rendezvous 2 vessels above Kerbin. Don't need to dock them, just need to rendezvous them. Can ferry a tourist at the same time, he just wants to go into orbit. Rescue a kerbal that is in orbit. Test a small landing gear splashdown, so as long as we make sure we land in the water, we can do that quite easy. And haul a drogue chute up. We can just see if we meet these criteria as we're doing our mission. So a bunch of missions that we can combine all together. Just really making the most out of the coconut while we have it, but we will definitely be replacing the coconut before long. Really going to be replacing this with something that is a lot bigger now that we've got the bigger fuel sections, the bigger engine sections, and cut-off pieces. Just make a large section and really aim for that to be our lander going forward. For now though, we're just going to put on the passenger component. We'll use that to rescue the Kerbin and take our tourist into orbit. Otherwise our design isn't really changing. I don't know if doing the rescue mission counts as rendezvousing with another object. If it does, and that's great, we can check those off together. If it doesn't, then I'll just leave this parked in a low orbit and go pick it up with another one. Otherwise we're just taking our extra crewman there. Tourist is partly funding this rescue expedition. Let's go on what may well be the coconut's last ever flight. So we're getting very close to now just moving on to our lander design. Okay, they are in a really quite awkward orbit, but that is fine. It's going to wait a little bit before launching, just so that if we launch in the correct orientation, yeah, slightly to the north, that should put us in the same phase as theirs. Oh, so that shouldn't be too far off. Okay, get SAS on. And let's launch this thing. Let's try and tip us over in the direction of the stranded space person. He's no doubt done the kerbal thing and just strapped himself to a booster and has realised why that's not a good idea. Yeah, we're getting severe heating effects. Already set to exit the atmosphere. So that's solid boosters. Staged. It's going to burn a little bit and then stage. Those came away cleanly, very nice. Right, I'm just going to try and put us into an orbit that intersects his. Though we do have 2 minutes to 4 minutes even to the upper apex, so I'm just going to drift a little bit. We did manage to get the drogue chute parameter complete just doing that launch. I forgot to actually put the small landing gear on, never mind. We'll just need to do that in a future mission. Yay, and stage. Only about 4 degrees off, which isn't really too bad considering how highly eccentric off the plane his orbit is. And we are circularized. Right, now it's going to be a case of trying to find a maneuver that actually makes us intersect him. Right, that one was definitely no good. And it's pretty good, and then I can go to the descending node to adjust it. Okay, we'll do this burn. Just realised I also forgot to put the new science packs on. Alright, then at the descending node, we should be able to adjust this. So we need to go that, align the two. So the next one, if I manage to pull it off, gets us within 100 meters of the target. So as ever, I didn't execute it perfectly, but did pretty good getting within a kilometer of them. Are going to need to circularize when we get near them anyway. Yeah, got a 900 meters per second burn to circularize, 900 meters per second. It's going to be about 80-second burn. Yeah, so about 40 seconds from the intercept. Burning while at the same time just pushing our retrograde marker towards the target. Yeah, nice, easily coming in. Still just pushing the retrograde marker towards the target as I slow down so that we keep getting closer and closer. Okay, less than 100. Slow us down. And this did count as rendezvousing. There we go, and we're stationary with respect to the target. And the next part may take some jiggery, Chaftel here, if you can deviate, you can let go. You can use his little jetpack. Now, I don't know if he can get in that pod and work his way through, or if the other one's going to have to come out there first. We'll just have to see. Yeah, okay. So he can't board. That's fine. Because Gerald can EVA, let go, back away a bit, and then just stabilize. He can board. Oh, shit. No, what? No, stop it. Why has it done that? Oh, shit. I don't know why it bloody did that. It's a real pain. Oh, and now I don't have SAS. Damn it. I actually want to burn towards the target. Okay, there we go. Right. Okay, I just about salvaged that. Okay, the bloody rescuee is in the correct compartment after knocking the throttle. Managed to manually control it to get halfway back. And then just trying to guide our actual pilot here back into the bloody capsule. Phew! Okay. That was almost a bloody disaster, but we made it. So we've got plenty of fuel, so we should just be able to easily deorbit at this point. It's going to point ourselves retrograde and burn. I have realised a slight mistake. I didn't put extra parachutes on for the extra stage. I'm hoping that's going to be okay. We'll find out. Okay, a little bit lower than I would like. Trying to aim for about 35, but that's fine because we're going to do a correction burn to burn the last of our fuel anyway. So we plugged in the final burn just to mostly reduce the apoapis so we're not needing to bleed off so much energy. And we wave goodbye to the Chaftel shipwreck and fall back down to Kerbin. Time to burn. Yeah, I'm just adjusting the exact aspect to keep that periapis around 35 kilometers. If it gets too high, we just go more retrograde. If it gets too low, we just point up a little bit. Here it ended up 37 kilometers. It's not bad. Can now cancel that, and then we can jettison that stage. Running very low on electric charge, so just need to be a little bit careful. Yeah, it's starting to get heating effect, so I'm just going to try and hold us retrograde. Set the drag chutes to deploy when I press the button, no matter what. Even if all they're going to do is rip, they should slow us a little bit as they rip. Okay, the other stage is tumbling, so we are catching up on it, but looks like we're going to miss it, so that's all good. Electric charge is holding. The aerodynamics are kind of keeping us in this orientation, so we're not needing to use the reaction wheel so much. Impressed that the other stage hasn't caught fire yet. Okay, we are definitely re-entering at this point. The stage now catching back up with us. Electric charge is starting to bleed off a bit more here, but we're gonna be fine. Almost below heating effect. Yeah, disabling SAS, we can just go ballistic at this point, should be absolutely fine. and splash down in the sea. It's all good. Okay, and drogue shoots out. Yeah, with the 2 drogue shoots and the main chute, that should be fine. Here we go. Didn't really get much science on that one, but we're now up to 800,000 cash, and I believe Chefdel gets added to our team. Yep, Chefdel is an engineer, so we picked up an engineer for free there. So, whole load of missions complete. Got the Explore Kerbin, the Rendezvous one all fine. And also first crew transfer was in there. Got some nice reputation points with all of that. And nice cash. Okay, so the next mission is kind of one preparing for landing. This one is perform a docking operation in orbit of Kerbin. Very, very little amount of cash, but we can certainly work towards that one next time. For now though, I think that's a good place to leave it. And I think next time we're definitely going to be working towards our landing, hopefully on the moon. If you enjoyed this, do consider leaving a like, it really does help the video. And otherwise, I hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and everyone else. Cheers.